Summer of '84. So Summer of '84 is the independent small budget movie that just came out this summer by RKSS. That's the director's name. I think it's 3 different people who directed this movie. But this movie is a hidden gem. I'm going to say it right now. I don't have really any negatives except for one small nitpick. My one nitpick is at the end, the bad guy manages, despite the fact that there's an APB out on him and the whole town's looking for him, there's cops outside his house, he still manages to sneak in, get these kids, a very fat one, and sneak him out to the woods in his own cop car, driving around. How does he do that? I found that to be a little too unbelievable. But yeah, that's my one negative, my one nitpick. But let's go into the synopsis. So Summer of '84 is about a group of friends. You got Charlie, and he is a conspiracy theorist. He reads the Hardy's books. He has clippings all over his wall about aliens. He wears an alien shirt. And one day he suspects his neighbor, a cop, of being a killer. One day he sees a kid at that house, and then the next day or a few days later he notices that kid's face on the milk bottle, and he's like putting 2 and 2 together. And throughout this movie there's just clue after clue after clue saying this guy, Mr. Mackey, okay, is the fucking killer. So then he convinces his friends to go along with this story and to find out if he is indeed the killer. Now I'm going to spoil some things, so therefore go out and buy it. That's my rating. Alright, but whatever. Let's talk about it. This whole movie, throughout the whole thing, it's so blatantly obvious. Like, the whole story is driven towards, like, okay, Mr. Mackey, the cop, he's the killer, right? And it gets to such an obvious point where you're just like, okay, what am I looking forward to? I mean, I know he's the killer because these kids know, right? So you're waiting for this twist. You're like, all right, there's a twist. But there's not a twist. Mr. Mackey is indeed the fucking killer. But this movie was doing, like, little small things that kind of made me, I'm not sure if anybody else can relate to this, or thought this, I kept thinking that the girl was responsible, or at least working with Mackey. And then at one point I thought the kid with glasses was in on it, because he was the first one to bail out of the situation, like, fuck this, I'm out. Anytime somebody just gave a weird look or just made a decision, that kind of puts you off. You're like, I think they're involved, or I think they're the killer. It just kept making me think there was these red herrings that they weren't actually there. There was no red herrings. It was just all in my mind. I'm not sure if this movie purposely put those red herrings in my mind, or if I was just being stupid. But throughout this movie, the chemistry between his friends, the setting, the atmosphere, the 80s feel, you could say the 80s is a redundant, like, just irrelevant point to this movie. Like, it's not necessary. But I would argue that if it was present day, these kids would be too busy looking at internet porn. These kids in this movie are looking at magazines all the time. They're constantly saying, yo mama jokes, I banged your mom last night. It could get to be a little bit too much where you're like, okay, I get it. But these are kids, and that's basically how kids were. And they still are. These kids felt believable. They felt genuine. It didn't feel made up. It felt organic. And because you actually like these characters and you're invested in their story and their journey and you hope they make it, it increases the impact if one of them dies, which one will. And my last positive before I get out of here is the ending. I love the ballsy, weird direction they went in. Like, it was a direction where I did not see it coming. In this scenario that plays out at the end, you would think that the killer's gonna kill the person or get caught and then a happy ending or a very bad ending, but no, they take neither route and they try to do, like, the best of both. Basically, you got the killer who tells the kid, like, I'm not gonna kill you, I could, but I'm gonna run away, and you better be looking over your shoulder the rest of your life. Because this killer hates his kid so much for busting him that he is saying, I'm going to torment you for the rest of your life psychologically. I would rather do that than kill you. And I thought that was a pretty awesome ending. I didn't see it coming at all, and that's what I love about it. This movie had me hooked. Each scene was awesome. I was just invested. There was a lot of tension building. Just simple scenes of just dialogue with the cop just talking to this kid. And if you just got a little nervous, you wanted him to leave. You didn't know what he was going to do, if something crazy was going to happen. There actually was a jump scare in this movie that actually scared the shit out of me. That's odd. But those are my thoughts. I actually enjoyed this movie. I love the 80s atmosphere. This movie's like Disturbia and the Stranger Things fused together. So therefore, I say when it comes to Summer of '84, this is a movie, if you haven't seen it, you should definitely go out to buy. Did you see this movie? What did you think about it? You should go out and get this gem. But those are my thoughts. Have you seen this movie yet? Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. And as always, if you'd like to see more awesome content, you can do so by clicking my cartoon face in 5 seconds. And until next time, Auf Wiedersehen.